For we are opposed around the world by a monolithic and ruthless conspiracy.
In physics, the study of quantum mechanics is to study the smallest elements and forces of matter and how they react and interact with each other, thus creating all that we know. There seems to be several prevailing schools of thought on what exactly these small elements are. Are they particles? For in some experiments they behave exactly like a particle should. Or are they waves? Because in other experiments the very same elements behave exactly as a wave should. How can this be? Waves and particles are two entirely different forms of reality. One school of quantum mechanics thought is that the elements are both a wave and a particle, or as some describe that, packets made up of particles called wave packets. This is called the particle-wave duality theory of quantum mechanics. We've known about atoms for several hundred years. We know that atoms are the makeup of all that is both living and non-living. All matter is made up of atoms. It was from our knowledge of atoms and how they interact and react that gave us the technology for atomic bombs and nuclear energy resources. But now we know that an atom is not the smallest thing in the universe of reality. Atoms are made up of even smaller bits or particles or wave packets or substances of reality. And it also appears that these elements are made of even smaller elements and or energy forces. This was first discovered in the early 1900s. We also know that this is electromagnetic force, or as most would call it, light, that holds electrons and protons together in atoms and which hold atoms together to make molecules. So at its most basic level, the atom is held together by light. So we now know that everything is made up of smaller and smaller parts. But we've also discovered that these small parts interact in ways in which we cannot describe by laws of the universe. Quantum laws appear to be very different from the classical laws of nature. The quantum particles seem to be operating outside of our reality of time and space. We know, for example, that when one of these small parts is manipulated or stimulated in any way, it seems to instantly affect and cause reaction in the other small parts, which do not otherwise appear to be connected by any force or even connected by yet another small part. It doesn't even matter if these small parts are separated by great distances. They still react instantly to the stimulus applied to the other part, as though they are tied together by some invisible force or energy. Some would even speculate some unknown and unmeasurable thought or communication process. This phenomenon is known as the entanglement theory. This gives rise to the philosophical thought that since everything elemental was created or came into being with one big instant, then everything at the subatomic level is still connected or entangled and somehow reacts together. In addition to these strange phenomenons, we have no way of exactly and precisely knowing when and where one of these small particles will be in any particular location or state. We can only speak about their location or state of existence in probabilities. For example, once a quantum state has been prepared for observation, some aspect of it is measured, such as its position or wavelength frequency. If the experiment is repeated, however, so as to measure the same aspect of the same quantum state, the result of the measurement will often be different. Some physicists even theorize that it is the very act of measuring or observation itself that caused the results to change. This is known in quantum physics as the measurement problem, while others may refer to this as a possibility of the universe being self-aware. Also, it seems apparent thus far, the smaller you go in observation of these parts, their interactions resemble less and less of anything that we know of as real. Time and space seem to disappear into nothingness. Philosophically, this is very challenging since we live in a real world with tangible objects existing in time-space reality. We know that our reality is made up of the very particles which then themselves seem to recede into nothingness, and they operate outside of time-space realities, our natural laws, and our material world. Welcome to just one more of the many conundrums of quantum mechanics. To most people, quantum mechanics is a very strange science. In all other scientific theories we have tangible models and how things interact. Quantum mechanics theory only describes how probabilities will change with time. If you are confused by all this, then you're in good company, as many scientists and physicists are on record as stating their confusion by it all. I personally do not think anyone has a good understanding of exactly what is going on within quantum mechanics, even though many physicists are firmly committed to the correctness of their particular interpretations. One thing is certain, as much as we do know about our world, our reality, and the universe, there is an infinite universe of information that we do not know. It would seem we are like ants looking at the moon at night, wishing, hoping we could just touch that big, bright, shining light up above. Because while an ant can see it, we don't even remotely understand it, or its distance from us, nor the element of space and time in which it exists. Much less do we have the ability of an ant to touch it. It simply will never happen. But we try and touch it anyways, and that, my friends, is a never-ending story worth reading.
This one here is called the Silent Princess. It's a rare, endangered species. Despite our efforts, we can't get them to grow domestically yet. The princess can only thrive out here, in the wild. All that we can hope is that the species will be strong enough to prosper on its own.